Today, as we already know some basic triggers, we are going to start to working with the scripts. Second one, by starting the class, we are going to enhance the triggers that we see yesterday. We are going to actually make the trigger word to count the laps and also to just win or won when you complete certain amount of laps. Also, we are going to show some sounds to the player and some effects just to make it cooler. Important things, we are going to start with triggers for dummies. That means that we are going to learn how to use dummies and also triggers. Never mind, it's just triggers. Okay, and also we are going to learn a couple of things about how to import triggers. That's very important because something special about triggers is that you actually can import triggers from another person, and that's going to save you some time also from your own maps. Imagine that you make an own system to, I don't know, some specific skills that you can reuse in other maps. You only need to copy and paste and you will have the same skills in the other map. Also, we are going to create some basic skills and we are going to have an introduction to random items. So we will be able to create random items around the road, okay? So all the class is going to take 2 hours. Very important for you guys, as always, I need you to have a piece of paper. And if you can use your computer in one side and also you can open MiniWord on that computer, it's going to be nice because we are going to use MiniWord. It's very important that also if you can have access to YouTube, in your phone you can check both of them at the same time and we will be it's going to be easier for you to edit and to just take attention and understand better how it works. This is going to be the class number 4. Remember that in this class we are going to cover how to set up the random items, some basic skills and some basic scripts. All the class is going to be based on triggers and scripts. So remember that if you didn't understand very much the triggers and also the previous topics that we take in the previous class, you can just go back and check in my channel the other live views, the other live streamings, and on there you will see the previous classes, okay? Next week, we are also going to learn how to create skins, how to create a shop system, and how to test your map, and also how to balance is very important. Finally, we are going to learn some tricks to publish your map and make it look actually cool. I highly advise you to actually learn how to do it. So, remember last class we give like a general explanation about how triggers work, about the events, the conditions, and the actions. Okay, so remember that in triggers, when you have an event, the event is going to have some parameters. As an example, if a player plays an emoticon, as the example that we do to create a horn system, the parameters are going to be the player, so it's the system is going to let us know which exactly player does the trigger. Second one is going to be the motion, and with those parameters we can have a condition and an action. And those actions and conditions are going to take those parameters to just work. In events, for triggers, instead of having an event, we are going to have a function, okay? The function is going to take the event. Remember the magic word is going to be the event, and it's going to take some parameters that you can actually provide to the codes, okay? And all the group is going to be called a function. Just like a trigger does, we are going to have conditions and actions that are going to take those parameters and are going to work with it. When I mean take is that if, as an example, you create here a parameter that says that is going to use a player, you can use that player in the conditions and the actions. Okay? To that part, as you see, is just almost the same as that the actual trigger does. Is almost the same. The first difference is going to be that you can have multiple conditions. What I mean with that, you are not going to have to check all the conditions before starting the actions. You can do just this. You can have like first some actions, as an example. If the player run, give some effect and then check if the player is in the right condition and then kill the player. So you can change the order and also you can have more than one condition and more than one action, of course, because in triggers you also can have some more than one action. Okay, so just imagine that you create an actual script and it's going to have just like this. It's going to check first some conditions, then do some actions and then check another conditions. That's totally possible in scripts, and that's why the first point, is more powerful than triggers. Another important part of the scripts is that actually you can call a script inside a script. As an example, you can create a script to check what is the location of the player, and you can execute that anytime inside another script by calling the script. Calling means to just execute the script. With that, you can save a lot of time because you don't have to create the code again for each script. You can reuse the script, and that's going to save us a lot of time. And the third and the last one that is a little bit confusing is that the script is also going to give you a return value, something that the trigger doesn't do. What does it mean? As an example, with a script, I can tell the script to return the name of the block. So I have, as an example, I can have a script to change the player name. So when the player enters to the game, I can change the name and put before the nickname, I don't know, the amount of money that the player has inside the game. And then the system or the script that I create is going to set up a variable with that specific name. So we will be able to use actually that variable. Chat in the chat box sent a message that is going to say the player X has 15 coins and the player changed the name. And we can specify which specific name is going to be changed. Also, we can use the return to get some numbers, to get some locations, to get almost any variable. We are going to check how a script looks. As you see, it's not that complicated. We have the same elements that we have for a trigger. The difference is that they are going to have a different order, okay? Very quickly, I'm going to explain. The event in triggers is going to be, or I advise you to place it in the end. This is going to be a little bit different than in triggers, and there is a reason for it. In scripts, wherever that you have or to use another part of the system needs to be at the end. Why? Because you need to create first the trigger, and for create a trigger we need to text or just type the text that is over the green square, and then as we already have that script created, we need to add the event. So remember guys, important things, if you are going to use any part of the code, if you are going to call a previous function, like the example, you need to place the event just after you place the complete code, okay? First part, so second part to explain a little bit more. This yellow part is going to be which actually starts or creates the function. As you see, the first part says break dirt block. That is going to be the name of the function. Remember guys that in triggers we have to assign a name to our trigger. Well, that's the same that we are doing here. That means that later, with just by typing break dirt block, we will be able to use this specific script, okay? As you see next to it, you are going to or just below it, you are going to see something that says players equals parameters dot event objects. So that means that that's how you can actually create some variables using the parameters that the trigger is going to give you. And if you see, the blue part is going to be a condition. If you notice, it says block, that is the same name that we just placed in the last part of the yellow square, equals, that's very important, to the number 001. And then we have something that says chat system. And of course, we have inside something that says you break a solve block. That part, the orange part, is going to be the action. It's pretty simple. And if you see, that's also a function. So we are calling a function that actually sends messages. How do you know it? Because we have a name for it. As you see, the name is chat, send system message. And right after that, we have two specific parentheses. Inside of it, we have a text. That's how you actually detect that we are actually working with an action or a function. And yeah, now this is very theoretical. Let me show how it looks like to start coding here, okay? So let me switch again to mini words. We are going to create our first script. For this, as you see it in the screen, we are going to use the same interface. Instead of hitting in basics or in triggers, we are going to hit in scripts. It's going to be the same. You are going to have here in a script set. The script set is just going to do the same as the trigger set. It's just a way to group the different triggers or scripts. And here you can give a name to your group. In my case, I'm going to place class tutorial. And yeah, now inside of it, as you see, I already have some triggers created. You have next to the trigger a specific checkmark that will allow you to activate or disactivate some scripts. So if you find out, as an example, that some of the scripts that you're going to create during the course is not working, you only have to hit here to deactivate it and try another way to do the same, okay? To create a script, as you see here, we don't have a variable interface like the previous one because the scripts are going to have different variables. Simpler, or just simply check here and create a script and you are going to see this. Okay, so we are going to use another system. Okay, so guys, once again, we are going to create something that is hello world. Remember to type the name is also a variable. Remember that yesterday we learned about variables, and variables cannot have a spaces or something in the middle, okay? Remember that this is a language. So what does it mean, a language? It's just by writing some words. So we don't have to use any specific program, but there is some specific programs or applications that will allow us to see better or to have some colors for the text, so it's going to be easier to use. You type the name of the variable or the name of the function that we are going to use. As an example, I type here hello world for this one. Then you need to do a space or type a space, then the number equals, and then the actual script is going to do. So we are going to create a function, okay? As you see, we only need to name it. Then we have to use two parentheses and we have to tell here inside the parentheses what is going to do the script. In this case, as we don't need any specific parameter, we are not going to tap anything on there. Then, very important, we are going to tap the word end. So, what do we create with this? As you are seeing in the screen, we create our first script. Okay, right now the script is not doing anything because as you saw in the example on the presentation, right now we are just creating this specific one, which actually is not going to have anything, just the function. That's what actually we create right now, okay? So we are going to make the game, just type a text, okay? So how did you type a text in MiniWord? In MiniWord, to type a text, you need to use a specific function. This is going to be called the MiniWord API, and you can find it here. As you see in the right side of your screen, you are going to see this small square. This small square is going to be a button. If you hit on there, you're going to find this that actually is a lot of text, okay? But don't worry, it's pretty easy to understand. For now, it's a quick guide for you guys to understand the scripts. The only thing that you need to do, what you can do or what you cannot do for scripts, is hitting here. As you see, we have a specific option that says MiniWord API. An API, to understand better, guys, is just a list of functions, or in this case, actions that you can use in your scripts. On here, you see different categories, different type of these commands that are going to work. For your map, as we are going to just send a message, we are going to choose the chat one. It's just organize it, and here it's going to tell you the text that you need to use. As you see here, we are going to send a chat, and we have two different options. The first one is just send a chat, that is actually making the player say something in the chat, and system chat or system message is just as the next to it says, is send a normal message to the players. So we are going to hit that, and as you see here, we have some examples. These examples are going to be in Chinese for the text, but we don't need it, okay? So we only need to copy this part, and we are going to place it into our code. Right now, our code is going to look like this. So our code is going to have, for the actions, two parts. The name of the function that we are going to use, or the action, because this is also a function, but is one in this case is going to be used as an action inside our function. And this most of the times is going to be descriptive. It's going to have the class. That means that chat is going to be the class to which actually this system belongs. And it's going to tell you in the name what it's going to do. Send a system message. And that's simple. As you see here, we have two parameters. So very important, guys. For now, I'm just going to write here. Remember, with no removing these specific symbols at the sides, we are going to type here, hello world. And then, yeah, we have our first script almost over. Now, as this script is finished, it's not going to do anything because it doesn't have an event for it, okay? How we can find event? Just, guys, switch back to the mini world app. And on here, on the same screen that I take before, you are going to see here the events. As you see, there is a class or a specific guide for the events. You need to copy this specific text from here. Once you copy, you need to modify the text, okay? So I'm going to reduce a little bit the zoom, just for you guys to be able to see the information. And yeah, as you see here, it also says script support event, register an event. The name is self-explanatory. That means that we are going to register an event. The event type is going to be game start. And here we have to adjust after this specific you have to actually choose or select the name of the script. So check this. That's correct. We copy and paste. This is the name of my function. This is the name that is going to execute, and this is what it's going to do. So if you see, it's pretty simple to read. What it's going to do is at game start, it's going to execute or just run the trigger or the script, name it as a hello world. So yeah, we already finished a simple script. Let me show you what it's going to do in game. Okay guys, so I'm going to hide this. We are going to save. We are going to play. And as you see in the top, you are going to find that it says hello world. Because this specific script, the only thing that is going to do is to send us that specific chat at the beginning of the map, okay? And we are going to change this specific event for another one. We want the map to send us this message each second, okay? For this, once again, hit on the wiki button. Next, select this one that is grayed out, that says mini world API. Select events. And on here you have also a list of the different events that we can have. As this is going to be a logic event because it's going to be the game, we are going to read and we are going to check for this specific one. Game run means when the game is running. That means that every second, every time, every tick is going to use the trigger. And let me know, we copy this, we copy the name of on the first column, and we paste it here instead of game start. And we copy our test, and yeah, play the game, and let's check this. Now, if I chat something, every second is going to just send the message again and over and over and over and over. And yeah, so we're going to run this. Once again, we are using something that is called Lua. What does it mean, Lua? Lua is a language, just like Spanish or English, but it's made for computers. Lua is not only working for MiniWord. Lua is actually a language that can be used for a lot of things. And what is a language? Probably most of you already know what is a programming language. For you, those of you that didn't know it, this language is used to tell some instructions to the computer or the game in this case, as the example that I just showed you. So remember that we create some instructions. So the first instruction is to create something, the second one is to chat something, and the third one is to register something inside the code that we did before. And that's actually what does Lua. Lua, it's very important. Why? Because it's something that works in another systems. As an example, you can make your an application with Android that is it's actually going to have a specific code that is work with another programming language that is Java, and you can execute inside that specific language this one. And it's used for a lot of things. It's used for games, it's used for create some basic programs or some basic applications in your phones and computers. And so, yep, once you learn to use Lua, you can do a lot of things. Even edit in other games, edit your own game. For this, in internet, you can find different guides and different tutorials. As an example, programming. Okay, so if you see my screen, you can find a lot of content about it, even in Wikipedia. So that means that if you want to learn scripting, you will have a lot of websites and sites that you can take the information with that is going to explain everything from the beginning. So don't worry, also during this course we are going to learn some basics about Lua, okay? So for having something in which you can edit the codes, you will need something that is called an editor, okay? MiniWord has their own edition. This is going to be the actual system that allows you to edit the codes. As you are guessing, we have using another external editor. My personal recommendation is to use a computer. Don't use a cell phone, it's going to be very hard. Okay, and if you have a tablet, it's going to be much easier, but the cell phone has some problems. The first one is too small, the screen is very small, so you won't be able to edit as it's supposed to be. The second one for this is that actually is not going to have that much applications that will be able to be capable to copy your code, to run your code. And another important thing is that MiniWord editor actually is not the best in phone because it's not going to highlight the colors, it's not going to let you know the best way to see the information about what you are editing. So my personal recommendation, use a computer, okay? In my case, I know that there is a lot of editors for code. My personal one is going to be Notepad++. It's actually it's very lightweight. You can install it in almost every computer. It's not going to have that much or requirements. You just in your Google browser just hit Notepad+, and you're going to find the link directly to download it. The only thing that you have to do here in your computer is just take the last version. Here you can read the version, so this one is going to be the last. Just hit and download. When it's completely downloaded, execute the installer. Just as any software, just hit next, 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 install. Something important is that you are not going to get the Lua system by default. What you have to do is each time that you create a script, like this, you need to use this bar in the top and you need to go where it says language, and on L you are going to find Lua. If you didn't do that, probably your system is going to look like this, and as you see, the same code that we paste here is not going to have any highlight or something that shows the player how to work, so it's going to be very difficult to read. Just let me copy and paste this to show you the example. You see, guys, and also just to let you know, that's how you're going to see the code if you edit directly in the cell phone when you're using MiniWord. So as you see, here is more real. You can read it easier because you have some colors, you have some specific highlights that is going to let you know what the code is doing. Okay, so remember, when you create a code, you need just to select in the language bar, Lua, and yeah, now it's going to look that great. Now we are going to start by create and import some systems. I'm going to give you some codes, guys, that I think that are going to be the basics for your map, okay? So just be with me, I'm going to show you how you can install it, okay? First, let me explain you a couple of things about the scripts. Remember in the last class, we see the difference between variables. Remember that we see that in triggers, we have some global variables and some private variables, right? Well, remember also that we have some containers for them. Remember that a variable can use any kind of container. In scripts, we are going to have something similar but different at the same time. So instead of having a variable for your players, we are going to have something that is being called local variables. And yeah, as you see, simple, if you check very quickly, it's going to look just like the same as a private variable. But let me explain the main difference. Remember that in simple variables, we have like different containers. All right. I think, guys, you remember that, okay? That was the last class. So for this, in a variable, in scripts, is going to be different because we don't need to choose a specific container. That means that any variable can have any value. That means also that you can change the value. So as an example, you can create a variable that is going to be a text, I mean a string, and later you can change it for a creature, and later we are going to change it for a number. Also, we can set it up as a boolean, and all of them are going to work. The only important thing is that you cannot mix different containers. What does it mean? If this moment, if my variable is a string, we cannot mix it with a number because it's not going to work. It's going to give you an error. Okay, very important, take note of it. Remember that if you don't want to take note, you can just check this presentation later. So you cannot mix them. You need to transform or convert those variables first into the same kind of container to be able to just work with them and do some operations with them, okay? So remember this, guys, the local variables and the global variables can have different containers. What does it mean? That in comparison of the global variables and the private variables in the triggers, the main difference here is that they are going to work the same. What does it mean? You can have a global variable in scripts that works for your map, as an example, the weather or the time in the game, but also you can set up that as a private variable. And the private variable, what it's going to do is that it's only going to be able to be read by the same script, by the same function that you're creating right now. So that means that, as an example, if I create something that is called coins and I set it up as a variable, if I set it up as a global variable, any part of my script can actually read and change that variable. But if I set it up as a private variable, only the main script that uses the coins is going to be the one that will be able to change and read the variables. If you try to execute something to read the coins, as an example from the code that is making the player walk, if it's a private variable, it's not going to be able to read it. And you may think why I should just avoid other scripts to read that. Well, it's just because you don't want to have that much variables, and those variables are not going to get that much memory. When you get less memory on your game, it's going to run faster. And yeah, as it doesn't need that much memory, it's going to be more efficient. This site is going to be this one, okay? So also this site is also in the description for the video, okay? So you will be able to actually copy the scripts. You are going to find here some different blocks or some different scripts that I create for you. We are going to just create or start by the most simple one. And it's that we are going to just implement a test system in your map. What is a test system? A test system is something that allows you to check if what you are doing in the scripts is working or not. Why? Because as a difference between, as an example, your codes or your programmation into the trigger section, in this, actually you're not going to get any message. And that is the tricky part about triggers. Most of the times you really don't know if the trigger is going to work or if the code that you're going to create is going to work unless you test. And what is going to do this system? This system is going to just let you know what did you have done and if it's working or not, okay? What do you have to do? And this is the best part about the scripts. This scripts is going to take, if we were making it on triggers, probably we will take hours of work because you have to redo it. For scripts, you only need to select everything. You can just hit on the top, be sure that you copy everything from the top to the end, then hit copy. Now we are going to move to the screen of mini words. You are going to access to the developer tools on the top. Then you are going to select scripts. Then you are going to add a new script. You are going to use the trash icon to delete everything that is on it. Then you are going to paste. And as you see, guys, we already have the script on here. And you can save it. And that's it. We have our first script imported. Let me show you. Okay, so right now you are not seeing any text. Even if I use abilities like double jump or some skills, you are not going to see any feedback. But also let me show you this, guys. If I try to start the game, it's going to tell me that I need at least 2 players to start the game, correct? Okay, so with the system that I just sent you guys, if I hit here or if I just type in the chat box test on, it's going to activate the test mode, and now it's going to show you the feedback of most of the things that you are going to do. Okay, also you can set up later, but as an example, I just set up this button to only work for less than 2 players if you are in test mode. That is going to be this one. And now as you see, in the chat box you can see that I getting some feedback about what my scripts are doing. To play the turbo just like I did in my game. Remember this? Let me show you. Let me show you in game how it works. Just as this example, let me show you. As you see, when you play the turbo, you are going to increase the speed and you are going to be faster, right? And if you try to use the turbo when there's no food or no hunger, it's going to tell you that it's not possible, that you need to have or wait a little bit more. And yeah, when you have it completed, it's going to allow you to increase the speed, okay? Also, the script that I'm going to bring you for free, guys, is going to have this effect. As you see, when you move in the screen, it's going to have like a speed effect around the screen. Just go to the site. On Turbo System, we are going to just do the same. We are going to copy everything. And we are going to go to the map that we were creating. We are going to access to the game. We are going to select developer tools. On here, we are going to select to create a new script. We are going to delete everything. We are going to copy and paste the code. Now you're going to save it. You are going to rename it because it's important. As you see, guys, right now I forget to rename the previous scripts and it's a little bit confusing. So give a proper name to your script. Just remember to change the numbers here. As an example, if I have I want to have a little bit more of turbo time, you only need to increase that number. But important things, guys, to make it work, just change where it says lobby, and in uppercase you have to type playing. We need to create first the booth, okay? Just hit on the map, and in the left corner you are going to find some icons. There's one that says actually plugin editor. You are going to access, you are going to select the status, okay? On the status, you are going to create a new status. This time we are going to edit, and it's very important, we are going to edit the one that says jump. So if I'm not wrong, this is going to be jump level 1. It's just going to search, you probably are going to have different icons for it because I already changed most of them. But remember, the jump icon is going to be right here. Just hit on the jump icon, the jump level 1, it's very important. Change the name, and in my case it's going to be turbo. Change the description. Once again, you can choose a specific icon, just like we did yesterday. For the effect, try to choose a smoke terry, is the best that fits for me. For the sound, you can choose any sound. As you see the effect shows in the screen, you are going to see that it matches with the one that we create. On here, very important, you are going to delete everything because you are going to have some effects here. Once you have no effects here, you're going to select the one that says speed, and just like yesterday, we are going to increase 20% of speed. Remember that mini words use different kinds of speed, so we are going to select 20 for the basic speed, 20 for the running speed, and 20 for the sneaking speed. You are going to save it. Then you are going to search for the specific buff that we create, remember that it's going to be a white one, and remember it's very important for this system, it needs to be the same. That means that we need to use the jumping buff as base for creating this. Right now the system already has the turbo, but we need still have to have some registers for it to make it work, okay? Important, we are going to move back to triggers and we are going to create a new variable, okay? It's going to be a global variable. Okay, remember we can switch here to private to global. Be sure that you are in the tab that says global. You are going to create a new variable. On variable type, you are going to select value, and the value is name is going to be game running. Important things, we are going to use only an n. Don't use two n's here, just running with one n. The default value is going to be 0. Once you have saved that specific variable, we are going to switch back to the turbo system. What we did, this was just to access to the script section, and we just import this system. Okay, guys? So we import the turbo system, we copy and paste, that's it. To start the system, what we did actually was to just go in here to the trigger section, and we create a new trigger. I'm going to create it again, okay? So we add the new trigger, we rename it as starting game. Okay. We add a new event that was player and was moving one block side. So let's choose enters arena, okay? We choose the arena and we are going to choose the initial point. Okay, and in the initial point, then we are going to do an action and we are going to assign. We're going to assign a value setup, that means a value variable that is going to take a number. We are going to use the variable, the global variable that we create, that is game running. Remember to just type it like you are seeing on the screen. Game, with the first one in uppercase, and in just one word, running 2, but it's going to be the first letter with the uppercase and with just one n. Okay, then you are going to set this specific one as number 1. Then we are going to close it, and then we are going to play the game. Right now, as you see, I can jump, I can do anything, but as soon as I passed through this frame, I won't be able to jump and I will be able to use the turbo system. Okay, why I designed the system like that? Because remember, guys, that you don't want to be in the lobby waiting for the players and getting some cool items in the store, in the game store, and then starting by moving around with turbo and not be able to be jumped. So with this, in any time that you want it, you can start the game and you can start the process, okay? What we are going to do is we are going to create some simple systems. First, we are going to create a script to become invisible, okay? That means that no players are going to be able to see you. And how it's going to work, we are going to create a status. This time we are going to create a totally new status to make the player become invisible. You are going to hit create a new one. Name it as invisible. Choose an icon for it. The special effect is the effect that is going to be just launched when you start the invisibility. So let's choose this one. Don't forget to choose a cool sound for it. And yeah, let's give a cooler name, optical cloak. And yeah, we have the first part in effects. That is the most accurate part, or the best part. Guys, very important. You are going to select 2 effects. The first one is going to be the model volume. We are going to change the body size to 0, I mean minus 100. Remember, not 100, minus 100. Then we are going to select special effect again, and we are going to change the mode. Okay, on change the mode, we have 2 options. Back view when converting, very important, that needs to be activated. Actually, you also can choose not to activate it, but remember, if we change the model and the player needs to know that it's invisible, we need to just show the player that, and just by moving the camera back, it's going to let the player know that it's invisible. And hold can use items when it's converting. That's going to actually avoid the player to use items when it's invisible, because that's not going to be that much fair for the other players. And yeah, you just can keep this specific model as a chicken, or as another one, whatever you want to choose. I just keep in chicken. Now you are going to just choose the time whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Positive status needs to be selected. Priority is going to be covered. All of the 3 switchers needs to be off. And we have our first buff to just set up an invisible skin, okay? Remember that we are just going to do the setups to start creating the easy script system to add this specific skill, okay? Now, what do we need to do now? We have the optical cloak. Now we are going to create a quick item just to be able to use it, okay? So just add an item, as you already know how to do it. Very quickly change that to the name that actually you want to provide the item. Okay, now we are going to change the description. For now, as we are just doing a demonstration, I'm not going to put something important. I'm just going to delete it, okay? Select the item model. In attributes, in skills, you are going to hit here, and you are going to select to, well, as we don't want to actually do a normal buff, we are going to do it by the scripts. We are going to do a dummy skill. What is a dummy skill? It's something that it actually is not going to do anything, but is show the effects to the players, okay? For this, as we are going just to do a dummy skill, we are going to select react blocked or attacked. Let's select attacked. On here, as this skill is not going to do anything, it's just going to be able to make the player or the system have some skills, the item itself. We are going to make it as a not important item. That means that it's not going to do any damage, it's not going to knock out the players, it's not going to blow up the players. We are going to change this as whatever you want. For my case, as I just going to do a demonstration, I'm going to keep as a not charge mode, and cooldown is going to be 0. Let's do it on 0. And it's going to be only for single player. As you know probably know now, guys, it's not going to do anything. If we use the item, it's just going to show an effect, but nothing is going to happen. We are going to need to actually create a new script. So switch to the screen window, create a new trigger set, because it's going to be important to have everything separated. Change the name for the script set. We are going to change it to skills. We are going to create a new script. We are going to delete everything, and we are going to start by creating our first skill. Once again, we are going to give a name. We are going to say skill optical cloak, right? Then we are going to use the symbol I equals. Then we are going to choose function. As you see, while I'm writing in mini word screen, you're going to be able to see that it's predicting what I'm going to tell me, or to tell the system, and it's going to show me some words that we can use to know what options we have to choose the system, okay? For now, we are going to choose function. Then we need to do the parentheses. And very important in scripts, to let the system know where it's going to end reading this, you have to choose the option end here, okay? It's very important. Remember, each time that you place a function, you need to tap end, and our code is going to be inside those 2 parts, the part that says end and the part that says function, okay? That's very important. With the tab key, the tab key is the one that you can see up to the block majus key. We can just create some specific spaces to look our code look much clearer. Now we are going to just start by coding, okay? So we have to give a name to our parameters. My best recommendation is just choose a simple name. As an example here, I just choose E from event. Instead of placing event here, I'm going to place E. With E, I'm going to know that is an event, okay? Important here, on the developer website here, you are going to find the different options. So we are going to choose the event for it. The event is going to be when the player uses an item, okay? So when you hit on the mini words app options, for the codes, you are going to have the event system, and on here you have more options. You are going to select player. On in player, you are going to see the different options that we have, okay? Very important, you can copy this specific line just right here to be able to add a generic event that we are going to change. Remember the one that says script support event. Every event needs to have this line to make this system works. Now we are going to look on the list on the first column what we want to do, and we want to have an event when the player uses an item, okay? So on here you will need to look. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing, but you should be able to find here. Okay, click, collide, consumes an item, discards an item. Okay, here it is, uses an item. Once again, we are going to change the information that is here inside the text, right here. We are going to choose, just copy and paste this section into here. We are going to change the name. Remember that this event is going to be named as a skill optical cloak, and here it's going to have the same name. It's very important that the name match. And now, important things, I'm going to let you know how you can read this. So the first column is going to be the actual function, the actual event. The second one is what is going to do that event, and this one is going to be the parameters that you are going to use. In this case, we have event object ID. Where is that one? And we are going to copy that one. That one is going to be the player. So remember, event object ID is going to be the player. So the second one that we will need, as we need to know the player and the item that the player uses, is going to be at item ID, okay? So we are going to just do the same. Copy from here, item ID. And very important, we need to place the name of the parameter here. So as I place E here, we need to place E, then a dot, and then the name of the parameter. So as an example, if I were placing here event as name of the parameters, I should change this E for event, because if I don't do that, it's not going to work, okay? So remember E, because it's going to be easier to read. And right now we are taking two specific things, the player and the item ID, but this is a little bit confusing. So what we are going to do, we are going to create our first variable. So remember guys that we have global variables and also local variables. Well, we are going to rename the variables, the parameters, with a local variable. To create a local variable, the only thing that you need to do is to type local. As you see, it's going to be highlighted in color blue. Then we need to choose the name of the variable. The name of my variable is going to be player. Player ID. That means the ID of the player. Then we are going to select equals. And after the equals, we are going to assign the actual value for the variable. So as I mentioned before, with scripts, you don't have any specific container. I can say 0 or 100 or whatever number, or I can choose to give a name to the variable. As an example, Mike. You see, so Mike is going to be the value of the variable for now, or you can choose whatever you want. In this case, as we want a player and the event, the E here is providing us already the player, we are just going to copy this. So remember, it's just the parameter name that we have here in the mini word API options, and before it you need to place the name of the parameters and the dot on it, okay? Now to the item, as I don't want to use an E every time and I just want the things easier, we are going to rename the variable. We are just going to select item and then equals, and we are going to copy again this. All right, right now we have the first part of our code. We are taking or letting the system know that we have an event here and a function for this event. So it's just like we were making this part of the process, like we were making just creating an event that is going to take the player, okay? So doing all the things that I did is just to doing like the same thing like I would just choosing here using a prop, okay? So let me choose that one. Okay, I don't remember where is it right now, but let's say consume an item. So all the things that I did is just create those parameters and the event for it, okay? Now, moving back to our skill, we are going to set up our first condition. And what condition we are going to choose? Okay, guys, so remember this. We want to know exactly which item the player uses. We don't want the system to execute this with any item, okay? Just when he used the item that we just create. For this, you have here some specific options on the top. So if you want to insert a quick condition, you have here some specific options. As you see, we also have the option to just add a function complete, as an example here. You see, it's just the same process that we did before, so you don't have to remember that part. And for conditions, we have here when it says process or create a process statement, there's one that says if statement, okay? And that's going to create a basic condition. If the condition is true, then execute this, okay? We are going to copy this. We are going to paste it here. All right. And now we need to give the specific condition because the system is not doing anything. As you see, it's just like using any English or any language. Is if a conditional, if something happens here, then do this. Okay, remember also that it has the end at the end. That means that it's going to execute everything that is going to be in between the end and then when we execute the code. For the conditions, we are going to use the variable. So if item, it's equals, very important, guys. When you are going to create a condition here, you need to use the symbol equals, okay? If the item is equals to, okay, so what we are going to use there. Remember in triggers, we can use like the item directly. Well, that item is going to have also a variable. It's going to have a number. Just imagine your ID or your father's security number. It's something that identifies the subject, okay? And we have also the same thing here. You only need to hit here where it says ID library. On there, you are going to have a scroll down menu and you need to select item. When you select that, it's going to show you the different items that you have. On there, when you create a new item, it's going to be in custom. Actually, you can choose any of them, but you know, as we create a custom item, we are going to use that one. If you hold up the mouse over it, you are going to find actually the number. You see that it says optical cloak and ID 4097. That's the ID. As you see here, it's inserting it right here, the number, okay? So as you are going to see the number on there, we will be able to actually complete the process. So right now, what we have is just the same, that if at this trigger, we add something that is going to be the item, okay? So we select here, determine which item type is going to just be here, item equals, and the item, and we are going to do the same, just to show you like the comparison about how it works, okay? All right, optical cloaked. And this specific part is just going to be the same that we just create here on the script until this point, okay? Now, what we are going to do, we are going to do some cool effects to the game, okay? So first, we are going to add the buff. Remember, guys, that we need to add the buff that we create. So for this, we are going to look here in Wiki. We are going to scroll down where it says mini words API. Then we are going to select player or actor. And on here, you are going to have a list of all the actions that we can do for the player. As an example, you see here that we have one that says add a buff. And it's going to have this, okay? It's going to explain everything about how it works. And let me explain to you how it works, okay? If you copy and paste at this line that is going to be the old function, you are going to notice, again, the category, the function, and some numbers, all right? How do you know which number is it and what it's going to do? If you read right here, you're going to see what it's going to do. So the first number, it's in the same order, is going to have an object ID, and it's going to be a number. Always, if you see an object ID, it's going to be which person, which player, which creature is going to be executed with. And also, if you see here, also the developers create comments for each one. So as an example, the first parameter is the ID of the creature. So if we want to add to the player that actually use this trigger, we already have that here. Remember that we named that variable, or the player that is going to use this script here. So we are going to just copy and paste. So as we already have it here. That's it. We already select the player. So one is going to be executed into the player. The second one is going to be the buff ID. So the buff ID is going to be also right here. So you select those two parameters and you go here in the ID library, and under you have also the buffs here. So we need to choose the one that we select. Something important, guys, just hold over it and you are going to see a number about which ID is it. So as you see here, it says 8001. 8 is going to be the actual buff. So the buff slowdown is going to be the number 8. The last 3 digits always are going to be the level of this specific buff. So if you see, level 1 is going to be 801 or 8001, sorry. The second one is going to be 8002, and the third level is going to be 8003. And that happens for all the buffs. As you see, it's the buff number 33, and this is the level 1, buff number 33, level 2, and yeah, everything works like that. But for custom buffs, this is a little bit trickier, because on custom buffs we are going to have this number. As you see, it's going to be a larger number. We only need to do the same logics. If this number is going to have that much numbers, the first numbers are going to be just the basic one, that is going to be 50,000, sorry. And the last 3 digits are going to be the level. So if you hit here, it's going to show you this. You can use the same one, or you can change it also. So the correct way will be to remove the 3 digits here. And for the level, that is going to be the third parameter, you are going to choose level 1. So that's going to be the same that placing all the number. Instead of that, you only need to place 5,000 and the number 1. The last one is going to be the amount of ticks, or the amount of time that is going to last with this trigger. Okay, with this specific buff, okay? So what we have to do? If you choose 0, it's going to be a buff that is going not to be removed from the player, okay? So if you want to place, as an example, 1 minute, you can choose around 30 or 20. That's going to increase the amount of time that you are going to have this. For this skill, I'm going to just try with 60 seconds. Okay, let's see what happened when we place 60 seconds. And right now, we have our first skill. Of course, this skill is a basic skill. It's not having right now any like special thing. Let's check how it works, okay? So let me show you. Yeah, as you see, guys, now we are invisible. And as you see, it lasts not that much, okay? Why? Because we only choose 60 seconds, okay? And as you see, players will still be able to see a little light, a little small dot moving around. So let me show you how you can create an invisible player. Okay, so the only thing that you have to do is to use... Yeah, so guys, you select this, you open it, you create a new model. Okay, you can choose simple creature. And what you are going to do is hit here where it says like the different options. You are going to hit hide, and that's it. As you hide this creature, when you create invisible player, is not going to have any model. And what we are going to do is just create a new creature with that model. Remember that we choose chicken in the status, so we are going to add a new chicken. I already have it modified, but yeah, the only thing that you need to do is to edit the chicken, and in the model you are going to choose the model that you just create. That is going to be this one, and that's it. You are not going to be able to see the creature. On there you confirm that actually the effect is just making to the chicken, and then you play the game. And let me show you now, the player is not going to be visible. As you see, right now we are just a small shadow that is going to be harder to see. Now, of course, this lacks a lot of effects right now because we need to improve it in the future. Just to give you a very example about how it can look, let me show you what you can do actually with this specific skill. And as we are going to learn in the next class how to add those effects, as you see, it takes better effects when you improve it a little bit, okay? And also we are going to learn how to do some other basic systems. And I'm also going to share the code with you in the next class. So you are going to have to set up some basic skills, okay?